Kemon Spell didn't walk into Athens like a kid taking another campus visit. He walked in like somebody who already thinks the place belongs to him. That's the part Georgia fans should pay attention to. Not just that he showed up, not just that he's a five-star, it's the way he moved once he got there. According to Dawgs, Spell spent that visit acting less like a recruit and more like a recruiter, locking in with other elite prospects and making sure people noticed who he was standing next to. When a player that big starts talking publicly about who's coming with him, that's not random, that's pressure, that's influence, that's power. And Georgia isn't dealing with some ordinary blue-chip name here. According to the 24/7 Sports Composite, Kemon Spell is the #1 running back in the 2027 class and the #7 overall prospect in the country. Dog Nation reported that the Rivals industry ranking has him even higher at #3 overall. He's listed by 24/7 Sports at 5'9" and 205 pounds, and the production is just nasty. In 9 games last season, he ran for 1,755 yards and 28 touchdowns, caught 6 passes for 114 yards and another score, then added 2 punt return touchdowns, 1 kickoff return touchdown, 8 tackles, and 2 interceptions. That doesn't look like a normal high school resume. That looks like a player who can tilt an entire recruiting cycle around himself. That's why this latest visit mattered more than a photo op. According to On3, Georgia already has 7 commits in the 2027 class and sits #5 nationally this early in the cycle. Spell is the centerpiece of that group. He committed on February 2 after a multi-day trip to Athens, and On3 described that pledge as a major splash for Kirby Smart's staff. So when the centerpiece recruit comes back to campus and starts pulling other top prospects into his orbit, you're not watching a fun little side story. You're watching the class leader flex. The first name tied directly to this is Khalil Taylor, and that's where the whole thing gets loud. According to Dawgs, Spell spent real time with Taylor during the weekend in Athens. Taylor isn't just some local flyer or depth piece. Dawgs listed him as the #13 wide receiver and #73 overall player in the country. Dog Nation's numbers are slightly different, with Taylor at #14 among wide receivers and #67 overall on the 24/7 Sports Composite, with the Rivals industry ranking slotting him #16 at the position and #73 overall. The exact number can shift depending on the service, but the big picture does not. This is a national receiver target, and Georgia had him in town with its top running back commit attached at the hip. Taylor's profile gives this even more weight. According to Dog Nation, he had 33 catches as a junior and scored on 16 of them. Read that again. He scored on nearly half his receptions. He also picked off 3 passes on defense, returned 2 of those interceptions for touchdowns, and added 3 kickoff return touchdowns, plus 3 punt return touchdowns. Dog Nation also reported that he punted for a 40-yard average. That is chaos in shoulder pads. That is the kind of athlete every major program wants to park somewhere on the field and figure the rest out later. Spell knows that. Georgia knows that. Their rivals know that too, which is exactly why the optics of this visit hits so hard. Then you get to the part that made this story travel. According to Dawgs, Spell jumped on social media and let his followers know Taylor would be joining him in Athens, publicly. Not behind the scenes, not a quiet text message. Publicly. That is the detail that changes the temperature here. Recruits talk all the time. Everybody says they're building relationships. Everybody claims they're working on other guys. Most of that stays vague because nobody wants to look foolish later. Spell didn't play it that way. He put a Georgia future out there for everybody to see. And when you do that as the #1 running back in the country, every fan base recruiting that same player feels the shot. And it wasn't a one-off. That's what makes this feel like a real trend instead of a hot weekend. Dawgs reported that Spell did the same thing with 4-star offensive tackle Jimmy Callis, posting, "He will be at UGA with me next year, bringing that PA ball to Athens." That line is the story. Not because it guarantees anything. It doesn't. Recruiting flips happen, minds change, visits pile up. But because it tells you how Spell sees himself inside Georgia's future. He's not waiting for the coaching staff to do all the work. He's acting like part of the machine already.
And Khalil is not some throw-in name either. According to Dog Nation, he's a 6'8", 290-pound offensive tackle and the son of former NFL lineman Todd Khalil. Dog Nation also reported that Khalil carries a 4.4 GPA, showed up to his Georgia visit with a notebook, filled the thing with notes during offensive line meetings, and even had Kirby Smart notice the detail. That tells you the kid is serious. Dog Post has Khalil ranked number 21 at offensive tackle and number 234 overall nationally, while Dog Nation noted that the 247 Sports Composite lists him number 31 at offensive tackle and number 307 overall, with the Rivals Industry ranking again putting him at number 21 and number 234 overall. The exact ranking isn't the point. The point is, Georgia is swinging at a legit national tackle, and Spell is right there helping sell the pitch. There's another angle here that Georgia fans will appreciate. This isn't just about national rankings, it's also about pipeline behavior. Spell is from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Taylor is from Pine Richland, Pennsylvania. Khalil is from Central Catholic in Pittsburgh. Dog Post even mentioned quarterback Peter Bork, another Northeastern target, spending time with Spell and Taylor during the visit. So now this isn't just Georgia recruiting individual players, it starts to look like Georgia trying to own a pocket of territory outside the Southeast by letting its own commits become ambassadors. That's how classes get sticky, that's how momentum multiplies. The humiliation part, if you want to call it that, comes from the confidence. Georgia didn't need some anonymous message board rumor to make rivals sweat. Its own five-star commit did the talking out in the open. According to Dog Nation, Spell has already made Taylor a recruiting priority, and the two are expected back in Athens for the same official visit weekend on May 29 through May 31. Dog Nation also reported that Khalil is tied to that same official visit window. So this wasn't just one loud weekend followed by silence. The calendar itself is starting to line up behind what Spell has been saying. That matters because Georgia's pitch doesn't live on social media alone. It has substance behind it. Khalil told Dog Nation he wanted to see why Georgia's linemen are always so elite. Taylor told Dog Post he has a great relationship with Bulldogs assistant James Coley. 1-3 described Georgia as an SEC juggernaut that keeps stacking elite classes, and that context is what gives Spell's comments teeth. If this were a mid-tier program talking big, people would laugh it off. When it's Georgia, coming off years of high-end recruiting and player development under Kirby Smart, the words land differently. They sound less like fantasy and more like an early warning. So what was the important message? It wasn't just one tweet, it was the whole posture. Kemon Spell showed up in Athens and basically told the college football world that Georgia isn't done taking stars, and he plans to help drag more of them with him. That's the message. Not subtle, not polite, not careful. He attached himself to Khalil Taylor. He stamped Jimmy Khalil with that "he will be at UGA with me next year" line. He turned a visit into a recruiting event of his own making. For Georgia fans, that's exactly the mentality you want from the face of a class. For everybody chasing the same players, it's the kind of thing that gets under your skin because it makes Georgia look organized, connected, and very comfortable acting like the closer before the race is even over. And the scary part for the rest of the field is this: Spell still has time. Time to keep recruiting, time to keep building those Pennsylvania ties, time to keep turning visits into headlines. If even one of these names follows him to Athens, people will come back to this moment and say the warning was right there in front of everybody. If you think that's the mindset of a future Georgia star, drop your take in the comments, subscribe, and stay locked in. Because if Kemon Spell keeps talking like this, the next message out of Athens might come with a commitment attached.